Great.
Over live. Hey guys.
How you doing?
We were just laughing at the thumbnail taking process. So good. Yeah, it's a little early for me. It's the earliest I think I've ever done a live stream. So we don't even know if anyone's available. But hello everyone. I'm Helena Hart. If this is your first time to my channel, this is Mark Rosenfeld.
Oh, here on a Sunday. I'm just going to add in. I like it. I like it a lot. Sunday vibes. Hopefully you're relaxing at home on your weekend. We're here in California and in beautiful San Diego. It's my first time here.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you like it so far?
Amazing. It's very chill.
It is, right? Yeah,
it's like very Australia. Good. It's beautiful.
Yes, yes. Well, we're so excited. We're just waiting for some people to join. Oh, hello.
Patricia's online. Hello, Patricia.
Say
Great
hi.
to have you.
Let us know where you're watching from. And
yeah, where are you from?
We just have a little bit of time. We have a Q&A call for our new program, Feminine Magnetism Mastery, starting in about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you guys want to join us for that, the link is in the description. It's a full program Mark and I created together. So we're just going to do a quick live stream just to say hi to everyone. And today we're actually going to be talking about the hidden secret to empowering your feminine energy and magnetizing the man you want to you, whether you're single or dating someone or in a relationship. And it's a little counterintuitive because I know a lot of women think, well, I just need to be more feminine, right? Do you hear this from women?
All the time,
mm-hmm.
All the time. And at first, when I was starting coaching, this is how I do it. I said, okay, woman wants to be more feminine. Feminine energy is attractive. So it kind of made sense in my head. Okay, she needs to be more feminine. And we put this work into being more feminine. But the women weren't making permanent progress. It was working a little bit and then they were falling back. And this is why Helena and I spent so much time putting this bigger program together. And we're really excited to give you the kind of the highlight from it today. As she says, we're about to jump on a bigger call with her. We wanted to come on here though and give you a highlight as to what we're going to be talking about and how to do that, how to empower that feminine radiance.
Yes. Okay. So if you guys have questions, let us know in the chat. We just have a couple minutes,
yeah,
but we love
look at the chat. Hello from, where's
NC?
Is that
North Carolina?
That's North Carolina.
Do we have that right?
I was like, is that New Caledonia? I'm pretty sure it's North Carolina, isn't it? Estonia. How cool. Maria says two of my favorites. Thank you, Maria. Yay. You're the best. Can we do a heart sign there?
I don't know.
Can I do this? Here we go. Yes, I did it.
Do that. I love that.
So cool. Hello, guys from Northern. Where's NO?
NO. Where do you see that?
Northern No. Yeah. Northern No. Suzanne, where are you from? We're not sure. We got the Rocky Mountains from northern near New Mexico. From Chicago, says Lauren. Charlotte, North Carolina. Golnaz Sahafi is here from right here in San Diego with us. Zayn is from India, Tunisia, Washington State. Very cool. From India as well.
I love having you on my channel. You just take over.
This is fun.
Just take over the chat.
I like it. There's so many cool people.
It's so fun. I know. I have the best audience on YouTube. I love you guys so much. UK, Romania, wow. New Jersey,
my audience is pretty great as well.
Actually, yes, I do love your audience too. We're very, very lucky. So, all right. Looks like we have a good amount of people joining. So let's jump in. Mark, what is that hidden secret to empowering your feminine energy and magnetizing the man you want to you?
So what I realized when I was coaching women was that this pressure to be more feminine, as I say, it wasn't permanent and it wasn't sticking. And when it came to things like being more playful, being more sexual, even being more secure in her standards, like that sort of queen energy, women, they couldn't stick at it. I'm like, why aren't they sticking at it? What is it that's making them go back to their old behaviors? What I realized was lacking was a sense of security and safety that allowed these behaviors to flourish. And the more I took note of women in very feminine situations or women who were able to be very feminine in different situations, the more I realized that only sometimes was an actual man present, but the aspects of masculine energy were always present. So what do I mean by that? I mean, I was seeing women, I thought, well, when are women most feminine? I thought, well, women are really feminine when they're dancing at their boyfriends, dancing with their boyfriends at the bar, when they're having sex. But they're also really feminine in situations sometimes where they're with the girls or where they're even on their own, like dancing in the shower, these sorts of situations. And I noticed there was a sense of masculine security. There was a sense of safety. There was even a sense of groundedness and even an ability to use things like logic, classically masculine traits, these traits were there as needed. And so I started to think, well, this seems counterintuitive, but what if instead of encouraging these women to be directly more feminine, what if we empowered their masculine traits? And I didn't mean the stereotypical ones where you think of like push, 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 competition, etc. I meant, what if we empower these really grounded, secure masculine traits? Would these women then become more feminine in their space? And that was exactly what happened. The more I showed women how to connect to their empowered masculine and have a sense of safety and security, the more they allowed themselves to be playful, the more they allowed themselves to be sexual, the more they felt safe being sexual, even the more they felt safe and secure putting in boundaries and standards and applying really feminine traits and doing really feminine things, because they had this underlying sense of safety, security, groundedness, etc., all the masculine traits. So the bottom line was I started to help women empower their masculine, i.e. become more empowered masculine. And that was what started creating those permanent changes.
Amazing. How smart is Mark, you guys? He is so brilliant. Yeah, he does not understand how smart and brilliant he is. So I always try to remind him. I could listen to you explain that forever. It's so amazing. And I'm so happy to be talking about empowering your masculine, because I know there's a lot of misconceptions out there that, you know, well, you're just supposed to squash your masculine down, and that's not it at all, right? You know, in order for the feminine energy part of you to feel safe, to be uncovered and fully expressed in an experience you're having with a man or with anyone, you have to feel safe. If you think about sex or just an experience like that, in order to feel uninhibited and like you can be your full, complete self, you have to feel safe. And so you don't actually need a man around in order to do that, right? It's about empowering
it's about that energy within yourself.
Own energy, right?
Yeah.
So then, and we talk a lot about in our program, Feminine Magnetism Mastery. Oh, Katie says this makes so much sense. Practical way to channel the masculine. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. Let us know.
Let us know in the comments. Hit the thumbs up as well. It helps the video get shared around.
Any questions you have around this too? I think a lot of times, you know, people equate being masculine or being feminine with the stereotypes or what we call in our program the wounded aspects of, you know, your wounded masculine energy or wounded feminine. Should we go over those briefly?
Yeah, we can definitely touch on those.
Wounded masculine would be, you know, trying to like control or manipulate a situation, right? Trying to push and shove your way to get what you want at all costs without regards to the other person's feelings. Anything I'm missing there? What else?
Yeah, very insecure type energy. So think of the classic stereotypes of how do men act when they're insecure, right? They tend to get very pushy. And I'm generalizing here. It's just a big chunk of this is how men will act. They become over controlling. They may even show like manipulative tendencies or get really competitive, like you have to die for me to win, really hyper, unhealthy, competitive. You see this culture a lot in big business, and I work with a lot of women who are doctors. I just, for some reason, seem to attract a lot of medical clients, and it's big in medicine, this culture, like you have to lose for me to win. It's all competitive. It's all unstable. It's kind of, think of, even when you're doctoring, think of the med student and the interns, the way they compete versus the consultant who works like 9 to 5, doesn't actually do that many long hours anymore because he or she is at the top. They're very relaxed. And the empowered masculine energy is very relaxed energy. So when you see wounded masculine energy, you'll see high charge, you'll see insecurity, you'll see lots of antisocial type behaviors that often people think of as just, oh, that's being masculine.
Yeah, so that's the wounded masculine versus the empowered masculine. Is this making sense? Do you guys have any questions about that? The wounded feminine energy is kind of the opposite. It's that damsel in distress energy. It's when you lack the willingness or the motivation to take care of yourself, and you're kind of endlessly waiting for someone, like waiting for a man to make a decision about you or the relationship, or waiting for just someone to come along and save you and make everything right so you can finally feel healed, or like waiting for a man to come and fix you or save you from your own life. Wounded
it's the
feminine.
Stereotype.
Yeah, feeling unworthy, constant fear and doubt, and just feeling like you can't trust yourself. These are also the wounded feminine.
You know how guys have that stereotype where they're like, oh, I don't want the woman who's going to be needy or codependent. I don't want that victim, that clingy girl. That is the stereotype. that men have, and potentially women too, of the feminine. And when the feminine goes into wounded energy, when it's not working so well, that is exactly what that can look like.
Men can go into their wounded feminine too.
Totally.
Again, it's not
a gender thing. We're generalizing here.
The same thing at the same time. Yeah. Okay. Beatrice says, I think this is how I can explain why emotional control is so important to women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like think of a practical example. If you think of a woman who's really feminine, like, you know how you have that woman, you're like, she walks into the bar and she's like light and talking to everyone, and like men are looking at her because she's so feminine. She's not even the most attractive person there, but her energy is like radiant. What must she have, right? She must feel, she has very low levels of social anxiety, that woman, like zero social anxiety. She feels safe. She feels safe, she feels secure, and that's why she's able to be so bubbly. And most of us do not have the social confidence because we don't feel safe enough in that environment to be that bubbly. So that would be an example. There was a comment about sex here. Letting yourself go during sex is another, is when you really feel that safety, you're able to much more express. So you raise the masculine, you raise the feminine with it.
Yeah, love it. And then we didn't say
Austria's in the house.
Oh,
Angie.
wow. Yes. Oh, thank you. I literally just woke up, you guys. I am super exhausted.
Helena, you're looking sensational.
I've never done a live stream this early. I'm just like, wow.
You beautiful woman, Helena.
You are so sweet. Oh my God. Thank you. Yeah. Katie says, what are some practical ways to get out of your wounded energy? Great question. We will get to that. Let's explain the empowered feminine, right? That's the part that, is more free flowing, trusts herself, is in touch with her intuition, in touch with her feelings, and able to express herself from that place. What else, right? The part that's about receiving, healthy receiving, responding.
Healthy receiving, comfortable receiving, exuberant, very in touch with intuition, vulnerable. Vulnerability is a big one. When the feminine is empowered, it's able to be vulnerable. But of course, we can't be vulnerable if we don't feel safe. And so for example, for women I work with, many of them are amazing professional women, but they have been burned in the past in some way in relationships. And, I was working with one client recently, and she'd been hurt a couple of times and had started stuffing that pain down. So she wasn't experiencing those emotions, just kind of pushing it down and putting a cap on it and saying, I can't handle more pain. I can't handle more pain. And it was coming out in her vocal patterns, which was like, she had a very, how you meet those people and you feel like they're talking at you rather than with you. Like, this person's talking at me and they're really intense, and this is just at me, and they're telling, and they're not trying to be mean, but they just feel like they're talking at me all the time. She had that. And as a guy, you kind of lean back, you're like, I just need space from this. And what we found out was that her pattern, because she felt so unsafe being vulnerable, like the fear of being rejected again, because she hadn't processed the previous emotions, was so big. She was in like hyper protective mode and had like zero vulnerability, which of course we can't connect to anyone when they're not vulnerable. It's Brene Brown 101. So we have to get her feeling safe, expressing those emotions and being vulnerable again, putting your neck out there a little bit. Because when you are there to catch yourself, and when your own masculine, empowered masculine is there to catch you, you won't mind putting your neck out, because even if something bad happens out there, you've got you. Your own masculine has you.
Absolutely. I love how you explain that. Sherry asked, can we run over the masculine energies again? Just kind of the wounded or the empowered. The wounded masculine would be the part of you that's trying to control or manipulate a situation. And by the way, we didn't mention, we all have different combinations of all four of these. Men and women can go into wounded masculine or wounded feminine. Wounded masculine could be seen as over-functioning, whereas wounded feminine is under-functioning, right? And the empowered masculine is the part of you that takes care of yourself, sets boundaries, is connected to logic and reason and thinking, all really good things that are very useful in your life, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to squash that part down. You want to step into that and empower that side of yourself so you can then feel safe to be in your feminine energy in all situations, right?
Yeah. Katie says, what are some practical ways to get out of wounded energy? We talk about that a lot in the program. It's a big, few hours of conversation around that.
Yeah. Our program is 10 modules, Feminine Magnetism Mastery. The link's in the description if you guys want to go check that out. Yes,
have a look.
We have our first call, so you can come. We'll answer all your questions.
Yeah, we've actually got a call in half an hour.
Yeah, starting in 30 minutes. Next one is on the 27th at 12:30 Pacific time, I believe. There's 6 of them total, so come join us.
Hour and a half each, so you get a lot of time with us, and you get to chat. It's not like this where you have to text. You actually can
it's
speak.
Not, yeah, exactly.
It's really cool.
It's not public either. It's out there for the for the world to see. I know it can be hard to share things out on YouTube sometimes. I totally get that myself. So yeah, there's a module in there. I believe it's module 4 about healing your wounded energies. And just like a quick example would be not stuffing them down and trying to like be more reasonable than that and rise above it, but actually embracing those, like loving, embracing those parts. See where they were created somewhere in your past to try to help you and protect you and keep you safe. But now those parts are maybe a little more maladaptive if they're causing you to push men away or keep love at arm's length. So we have a module there, but it's about really embracing, loving, accepting, talking to those parts of themselves, of yourself, thanking them for trying to protect you and seeing what gifts they have for you, seeing how you can transform them to where they can start actually working for you now rather than against you. That's kind of like an overview, right? Does that make sense?
Beatrice has a question. She says, for a while, I thought it was important to express my emotions. Now I feel it's more important to take responsibility for them. What do you think? I think it's both.
Both, yeah. Once you take responsibility for them, you can say whatever you want from that place. You can say, I'm feeling triggered. I'm feeling a little upset right now. But I was feeling very emotional earlier today. I felt like a little bit of a mess. So it's not about being perfect. Always. It's really not. I mean, it's really, you can be, oh my gosh, I'm feeling emotional right now. I'm feeling like a little teary or whatever. And that's totally fine because you feel safe with your own emotions. And a man needs to see that you feel safe with you, like you feel safe with those parts of yourself in order for him to feel safe with you. It's kind of a subconscious thing, like, oh, she feels safe with herself.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
She accepts herself and all of her feelings. That's how I know that she's going to accept me.
And mine.
Is that right? I mean, I would love to hear your perspective on that.
Exactly. Yeah. Without going too deep into it, when you can accept and be safe in your own emotional states, because remember, the challenge for a man and one of the gifts of the feminine is that the feminine will teach us how to dive deeper into the present and how to dive deeper into our feelings. Right? Because men are naturally just not as adept at that. We're not really trained for it. The masculine energy is a bit more stoic. Remember, emotion is energy in motion. And because women tend to be more connected to their flowing feminine energy, they tend to have more energy in motion at a time, and thus will go through a wider range of emotion. But for men, we're not as used to that. We change it. It's like a car changing gears, not very well. We get one emotional state. We don't really want to change it because getting into a new one's like a big clunk. Then once it's there, we're stuck in that one. And like, we don't flow the way women do, or we're not typically as good at it. So when a woman can demonstrate, hey, here's how to experience this, our own feminine says, oh, I can like explore this. I can feel safe with this. I can, right, that's okay. And we can lean into our own emotions. The same way a woman might be able to say, hey, here's how I can better use, I don't know, groundedness from a man. Like, oh, look, this guy makes me feel really grounded. And that's your masculine learning how to feel that groundedness, being like, oh, I can feel really grounded. I was around that guy. I felt super grounded. That's how grounded I can be. And I'm here going, that's how emotional I can be, and that's how deep I can go. I hope I didn't confuse people.
No, I love how you explain that. And it's almost like we have so much to say on this. We can get very in depth and how, and also the concept of wound mates, how if your wounded side is triggering or kind of compatible with a man's wounded side and vice versa, like it can really like escalate all of this. But what was I about to say? Oh yeah, you were saying how men kind of show you the possibility of the potential. That's right.
Yeah.
Of empowering your own masculine, just like women can show men what it feels like to be kind of in their empowered feminine, right? So it works both ways.
Yeah, there was a question here from Bianca. Bianca says, is it possible to share too much of your past too soon with a man? Is that being too vulnerable? Yeah, it potentially is, because it depends how you present the information as well. Vulnerability should be exchanged with vulnerability. Mm-hmm. So if I start to open up to Helena, I'm like, oh, this thing happened. and then I don't feel like that vulnerability isn't returned, then it's not very, I guess, it's not very smart for me to go further and further if she's not matching me. Because bonding, emotional bonding, is essentially two people entering vulnerability together at similar levels. That's what creates the bond. So if you don't have someone that's following you into vulnerability, then either their walls are up, or they're not wanting to connect that much, or they're just not in the space to do it. It's beautiful, and always reward yourself for doing it, because if you put your neck on the line, that should always be rewarded. But yeah, it could absolutely mean that that person maybe can't match you there. You can change the way you present things, and that's something I talk about with clients, where they say, for example, oh, I have this horrible scar that I'm really ashamed of. Is it being too vulnerable to talk about that? And we'll actually reframe it so that it's like something that empowers them. But if it is something that you're really like feeling hurt around or vulnerability around, then progressing it, I would say, I don't know if you agree.
Yeah,
I would
totally.
Progressing it along where he's vulnerable back is your best bet.
Yeah, often you do have to go first as the feminine energy partner, and when it comes to being vulnerable. But yeah, there's a way to pace it. If you guys ever met someone and it just feels like they kind of like emotionally vomited all over you and like told you something like really personal, really deep too soon, it's kind of like, ooh, like it kind of makes you want to like pull back a little bit, right? So you don't want to do that. There needs to be a container for it, right? I would say opening up slowly, but start in small, everyday, low-risk situations. It's not about having to open up and talk about your biggest fears and dreams and, right off the bat. Talk about how you feel about the weather today, or how you felt about, the weekend that you just had, or your plans for tomorrow. And that's where you should start. A lot of people think that we should start talking about the relationship and getting in there and being vulnerable and talking about how you feel about him, and that it can all come, but you have to get good at it first. So you want to start in small, low risk situations. That's my advice there.
Beatrice says, I was annoying my lover with expressing my emotions. I think the key there is, Beatrice, as long as you're not making him responsible for them, you're not saying, you made me cry, you made me angry, you made me frustrated, because that will get hard for a guy. If you are, though, if you're keeping the responsibility and you're expressing, then what you're actually poking is his discomfort with his own feminine, which is like he sees an emotional woman, and the discomfort with him diving into that level of emotions himself is why you're getting that reaction, because he would not be comfortable expressing that way, essentially. So no need to shame that. You just keep, if that's the case and you're not making him responsible, you just keep doing what you're doing, taking responsibility and healthily expressing. And like, if it makes him uncomfortable, it's essentially his thing. Like it's something he has to come to terms with, because you're not making him responsible for it. You're making him responsible for it. That's different, but you're not. You're just expressing. And healthy expression is very important.
Yeah, men can handle it. They can. A good masculine energy man, if he's the right kind of guy for you, he can absolutely handle all of your emotions, your anger, your sadness, everything. They can handle that as long as you're taking responsibility. You're feeling safe, and you're not asking him to do something to fix it, or trying to express yourself to subtly push your agenda. And as long as you're not saying it's your fault, you made me upset, you really pissed me off when you did this, right? It's just, there are much better ways to express it and say it. Men can handle it, right? Men can absolutely handle it, and they like that, because it kind of connects them back to a part of themselves that they might not really have access to just freely on their own, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. What about, A says, what about past traumas, etc., healed? Is it okay to just tell a new story, or do they need to know everything eventually? If something is truly healed, then my assertion has always been, if something's truly healed, you won't have an issue talking about it. Kind of like the way Oprah tells her story. A lot of us know Oprah's story. She was abused for a long time. She had some awful, awful things happen to her. But when she tells the story, you never see her as a victim. Right? She's healed. You don't hear victim words coming from Oprah. You hear empowered words. So if you're in a truly healed state, then you won't have any problems at all. If there's still a little bit of trauma and stuff hanging around there, then that is where you can absolutely do some more work. Helena does great stuff with that. I do. Other coaches do. Clearing that. And also the second part of the question is, do you tell everything? the question still predisposes that there's a lot of shame there, like the person's going to run if they hear this because it's so shameful. So if you get the healing and if you really heal that stuff, then you'll have a lot, you pretty much can say everything because it'll be healed. If there's a lot of stuff unhealed and you're not working on it, then yeah, it could overwhelm someone, especially if, like we were saying before, you don't pace it with their vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you pace it out,
yeah, absolutely. The right guy will, but you want to see what he does when you open up. Does he take your feelings into account, or does he dismiss your feelings and tell you you're too much or too emotional? You want to see what he does with that information. So that was great. I love what you said. Elle says, what do you do if you really like someone, but he doesn't make any effort? Quick to look at your social media. We split up after a brief dating. He has a fear of closeness. You know what? I would say if you are coming from an empowered place, if you have your masculine energy empowered, which allows you to be in your empowered feminine, that behavior should start to turn you off, and you'll get bored and lose interest quickly with a man who's not putting in effort. That's my quick answer.
Effort is attractive.
Yes.
Effort is attractive.
Yeah.
Someone who's always as attractive as the amount of effort they put in.
Yes.
It's like a cake without sugar. Like you could be like, oh, that's a nice cake. But if there's no effort, as in if there's no sugar, you go and eat the cake. You're like, oh, it looked good, but what am I doing here? That's what happens when you go after guys who aren't putting in effort. Right. And the ironic thing is when you do this, the guys that aren't putting in as much effort actually start doing that and putting in the effort. Mm-hmm. But in a case like this, like the guy could just, you said he has a fear of closeness. He could just be genuinely EU, emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
And you may not get that much effort from him. But yeah, you've really got, like, if a woman, what would you tell me? I say to you, hey, I really like this woman, but she's not putting in any effort. You'd be like, Mark, go live your life. Mm-hmm. Mark, you deserve better. You'd be like, Mark, that bitch is missing out. You'd be like, Mark, you know, maybe she'll come, maybe she'll realize her mistake, but if not, you could do way better. Same advice to you.
Right. What would you tell your best friend or your sister or, you know, somebody close to you? If you can hook up your feelings of attraction and chemistry with a man's masculine action towards you, then you've really got something. That's the whole thing right there. If he comes towards you and he's consistent in following through and that turns you on, and when a man's wishy-washy and afraid of closeness, like you said, it doesn't make any effort. When that starts to turn you off, that's it. You did it. That's the whole thing right there, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She says, I like your answer. Awesome.
Love it. Love it. Oh, I'm having a hard time controlling my jealousy. What could I do? Oh, that's a great question because there can be a couple of different answers depending on the situation for me. Mm-hmm. What do you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to be recording a video on jealousy soon with another expert. I'm very excited about because I keep getting this question over and over. I would say first thing you want to do is embrace your jealousy, love it, pour love all over it. You know, thank it for trying to protect you because I think what a lot of people do, myself included, we can all do this, is just go, oh, I'm more reasonable than that, and just stuff it down. Have you ever hear that phrase like? What you resist persists. So if you're stuffing a feeling down and not embracing it and accepting it, it's going to pop out, usually in like the worst possible moment, right? I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but yeah, if you're trying to stuff it down and resist it, it's going to come out in usually like the most sabotaging kind of way. So first step is to embrace it and then go from there. I would say, what would you say to do from there?
Yeah, I would usually say along a bit of a different line is check in first if this is your intuition saying something, like is this a healthy intuition or is this an insecurity of yours? Because you can get either here. I'll have women come to me, they say, I'm so jealous, and I'll ask them why, and they say, oh, he just like does these weird things where he like hides his phone or he's meeting this woman. I'm like, okay, that just sounds like a healthy intuition almost, a healthy jealousy. Whereas I also have women come to me who say he's done nothing wrong. He just has a female friend and I'm just jealous all the time, which I'll use a number of different ways to help them with that. As Helena says, first, like be okay with the jealousy and then look at a few different methods of clearing it. Like we'll change the trigger. We'll look at a past event that's caused it. So a healing type thing. We'll look at the beliefs around the situation. I have a few different advanced coaching tools that I will use for that. We chat about some of them in the Feminine Magnetism Mastery program as well. If you are interested, by the way, we're doing a call, as we say, in about 20 minutes time in there, link in description. But yeah, I depending on the source, I'll just kind of pull it up at the root and just go, all right, the jealousy's there. So where's it coming from? What beliefs could be responsible? What previous events could be responsible? And how do we go about shifting all of that?
Yeah, we want to do a whole thing together on beliefs at some point. Is that something that would be of interest to anybody? Because there's so much that goes into this, or anything else that you'd like to see from us, because we like to do things for you guys. So let's see. Okay, is it okay to let your man know how jealous you are?
Yeah, 100%, but you don't make him responsible for it.
Yeah.
Like if my girl is out and I'm feeling really jealous and she's just out with like a bunch of male friends and there's nothing to it, I will be like, if I'm really in a good empowered space, what I'll say is, hey, like what I've found is that I feel super jealous with this. This is something I need to deal with. Like, go have fun. I'm going to like process this and figure this out.
So much better.
So I'm not like putting it on her. I'm owning it without saying she's responsible.
Right.
For it.
Or acting out of it, like blowing up her phone, calling, there's a way to express it without acting out of it. If you can feel all of your feelings, let yourself feel them without acting out of them. Normally when we're pushing our feelings down, we start acting out of them in these kind of insecure ways, right? Yeah.
Questions. Sharon says, how do I get the popular guy? Why do you want him, Sharon? Is he putting effort into you?
Oh, that's a great question.
Or is there a bit of validation seeking from your end? The reason I ask is because it's very common that women will come to me with that. And I've done it, I know, because I've been guilty of wanting to date the popular girl. And it's not because she's actually been awesome to me. It's because I have old wounds from high school, or did have old wounds from high school, where I never got to date the popular girl. I went on in my 20s with these wounds like, oh, wow, I've always wanted to date the popular girl. Imagine how validated I'll be. Imagine how powerful I feel. Imagine how great I'll feel every day by dating the popular girl. It has nothing to do with what actually creates a great relationship.
That is so true.
He has a wandering eye, was Mariana. Yeah, I mean, you've got to decide. It's like a deeper conversation. You've got to decide if you feel it's a level of disrespect for you. There's different couples. Like couples have great open relationships, right, where they have sex with other people and then they're happy. That's like a good open relationship. Other monogamous couples allow flirting, but nothing more. Other monogamous couples are super strict. So that's really a conversation between you and him, defining like what is respect and what is not. It sounds like you're feeling a bit disrespected, and you guys have to, because you're always going to have attraction for other people, the both of you are. So you guys have got to like have a bit of a tough conversation about how to mitigate that and how to handle that and expressing what you're feeling and seeing if there's a middle ground there where you guys can find that respect together.
Great answer. That Roxy says, should you still go to your ex for emotional support? He says he wants to be there for me if I need someone, but I don't know if it's going to make it harder for me to move on. Right off the top of my head, if you haven't moved on, I would say it would be better for you to reach out to your own support system.
Yeah, no.
It's not really appropriate for you to be getting emotional support from someone you're trying to move on from. Yeah.
It sucks, but
it's
you can't.
Hard. I know.
It's like, I remember the same thing. It's like, that is the one person you want there that you're sad about, but it's effed up because that is like the one person that will make it worse. You just know you can't. Take 12 months and then like you guys can be friends and hopefully it's fine. But no, that's the one person you can't go to for emotional support.
I know. It's that's just the way it is though. Maria says, do you think a woman can heal a wounded man? If so, how? Wow, what an interesting question.
Yeah.
There's a
it's technically no, because he has to do it himself, but you can certainly inspire levels for him to do it himself. Like I've had situations in my life where someone's been so open and so like good with healing themselves, where it's like inspired me to step up. So you can like make room for that, and your feminine energy can kind of be an example of it. You can't technically make him do it.
I mean, in a relationship, you can help each other heal, right? But
you can be an example, but you can't do it for him.
Yeah, I would ask, of course, I don't know anything about the specifics of your situation. Is there something in you that attracts men who have all of this healing to do and all this emotional baggage, right? So that's probably topic for a whole nother video, because I know a lot of women in my community, I'm sure yours as well, seem to attract men who have all this healing to do and they're just not ready. It like prevents them.
I'm a foster home for damaged men. I look after them and send them to their forever homes.
It prevents them from being available for a relationship. And like, well, what are you getting in there? What effort is he putting into being a good partner for you is the question I would ask. Right. So, sorry, I have my really keeps getting caught in my eyelash, driving me nuts. Hello, handsome Mark. Divine says, tips to stand out from other women, Sharon asks. You know what? The first thing that comes to mind in the second half of our Feminine Magnetism Mastery program, we go into 5 different archetypes or
feminine archetypes,
aspects of your empowered feminine energy. And if you can embody these and do the exercises and visualizations that we lay out, it's about 15 minutes a day in that program. It will set you apart from every other woman on the planet. He will just see you as that one woman he can't live without, right? Yeah,
I would definitely say the second half of the Magnetism Mastery program is brilliant for that. I'll also do a little plug here. My book will be out fairly soon, and there's a whole chapter on this, the more logical side. So our program talks about the whole energetic side of attraction. There's a full chapter in my book on what I've summarized down over the 5 years I've been coaching to the 7 signs of very logically, things you can explain very simply that are incredibly non-physically attractive to a man.
Amazing. What's the name of that?
Keep an eye out for that. The book's going to be How to Make Him Yours, Beating the Odds of Modern Dating. So keep an eye out.
Yes. By the way, if you join Feminine Magnetism Mastery, are we still offering, you actually get access to all of, are we still offering this? Or
yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Okay. All of the Empowerment Academy online courses, right? You
Yeah.
get full access to all of his online courses, all of them for a whole year. So that's an unbelievable value. You also get on the 6 calls with us where we can work with you personally, answer all your questions. First one starts in about 14 minutes. And next one is October 27th, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. And then they just go on from there. So sign up for that if you guys are interested. You get all of his courses online. Amazing value.
It's like $8,000 value in that offer for as little. You can do a payment plan for as little as $197 for 3 payments, and that's it. So check it out. Link in description. We better jump.
Yeah,
we better jump off.
Yes. Everyone say thank you. That helps so much. Yes, because I'm wounded myself. Yes, please do a video, Helena, about the wounded man. We should do more. Yeah, this is really
Sharon says tips for interracial relationships. Sharon, I recently did a video with Alex Cormont on my channel about intercultural dating. So check that one out. I think it's how to date across cultures featuring Alex Cormont. So just have a look at that. Thank you, lovely ladies.
Yes, this totally woke me up. This was like having a coffee. This is amazing. We love you guys so much. This was so much fun. Links in the description if you want to join us. Start in about 10 minutes. And we love you guys. Thank you. This was amazing. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming online. Miss you already.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.